Hi guys, welcome to the second part of the handgun demo video. We are going to be going over the semi-autos at this point. Alright, and we are going to start with a single action semi-auto. Alright, let you guys see that this gun's unloaded, nothing in the magazine well, and nothing up there in the chamber. So this gun is unloaded. I'm also going to show you guys the magazine itself that I'm going to be using, and I have some cartridges here, and they're all solid aluminum or solid plastic. The reason I'm showing you guys all this stuff because you don't want to be playing around with loaded guns, live ammo while you're doing a demo like this, because then you wind up with holes and things you didn't want holes in. Alright, so handguns, semi-auto handguns. Alright, we went over the revolvers already. The semi-autos, same action, mostly the same action types. We still have a single action, still have a double action. We have a double action only, and now we have a new one called a striker fired, which I'll explain when I get to that. Same parts, same barrel, frame, action, same three basic parts. They look a little different on these guns. Okay, this is a single action semi-auto handgun. What makes it single action? Well, what was the definition of a single action? Single action means trigger does what? One thing. The one thing that the trigger can do on this gun is drop the hammer. That's it. That's all this thing can do. If the hammer is down, we pull the trigger, hit nothing. Hammer's cocked, it'll drop it. Okay, single action. The parts on this gun, we have our frame, which is down in here, also goes down inside the grip. The barrel, which on the semi-auto is typically hidden inside the slide. You can see the barrel pokes out there that way. And then the action is all the moving parts. Everything that's concerned with loading, unloading, cocking, decocking, and firing this gun's all part of its action. All right, so on the action on the semi-auto, we have the slide itself, still have a hammer, still have a trigger. Now we have a magazine release. We squeeze that magazine release. We have a slide release, and we have safeties. This one has two external safeties. We've got a thumb safety, and we got a grip safety. Okay, you have to squeeze that one in to make the gun fire. So you have to squeeze it, and you have to drop that off to make this one work. Okay, the slide lock, slide release. Okay, to make that work, you have to sweep down on it. All right, we can pull it back and lock it up manually. All right, and then we have the magazine release. Okay, we squeeze that one in, and it'll let the magazine come out. So we put the magazine in, squeeze that button, magazine comes out. Just like that. All right, now to load a semi-auto, you're going to put your magazine in. That doesn't make it loaded. All right, that just has ammo in the magazine. Now, if you ask a police officer, if you have a gun in the car in this configuration, as far as they're concerned, it's loaded. We know it's not completely loaded. Why? We don't have a round in the chamber yet. So how are we going to get a round in the chamber? We got to pull the slide back. I know you guys have seen that hundreds of times in movies. That's how we load the gun. If you're going to use the gun for real in real life, though, it should be that way when you leave the house. That's not the thing you want to do to emphasize the fact that you're going into a room or to make some kind of point. You work the slide to load the gun. You do that when you put the gun on. All right, so we're going to do that now. We're going to load the gun. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the slide back, and I want you can see that cartridge inside there. And when I get the slide back far enough, that cartridge pops up from out of the magazine. Then as the slide starts to work forward, it'll scrape that round out of the magazine and shove it into the chamber. And then it's loaded. Okay, so the gun's completely loaded, hammer's cocked. All right, so now when I shoot this gun, boom, that's going to fire it. When it fires, the bullet obviously is going to go that way, but the slide's going to travel back all by itself. Okay, and when the slide goes back by itself, watch what happens to the hammer. Okay, the slide cocks the hammer, and it kicks out the old brass, grabs the next round out of the magazine, shoves it into the chamber, and it does all that by itself. All you do is pull the trigger. Boom, 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 boom. All that stuff happens virtually instantaneously. Okay? Now, that's why it's called semi-automatic. The single action one gets kind of confusing for people because they get stuck in their head, well, the single action, that means that old cowboy gun you got to cock. No, it's what the trigger's doing. If the trigger's only doing one thing, single action. If the trigger's doing more than one thing, two things, it's double action. This trigger can only drop the hammer. It's single action. Okay, it doesn't matter how that hammer got cocked. This one, the hammer gets cocked because the slide manipulates by itself and it cocks the hammer as it goes. Has no bearing on how it got cocked. It's what the trigger's doing. Trigger drops the hammer, single action, period, end of story. All right. So now we're done with this gun. To unload a semi-automatic firearm, first step is remove the magazine. So we're going to squeeze the magazine release. Got our magazine out. Are we done? No, we're not done because we still got a round in the chamber. How do we get the round out of the chamber? We're going to pull that slide back again. Look through our magazine well, make sure there's no magazines in there, no bullets left riding around in there that got loose. Check up in the chamber, and that gun is doubly clear. All right, that is a single action semi-auto handgun. Double action. Look at a double action semi-auto handgun. Nothing in the mag well. Nothing up in the chamber in there. See, there's nothing in there. And nothing in the magazine. I'm not actually going to use the magazine on this one. Alright, this is a traditional double action semi-auto handgun. Alright, got the same frame. It's got a barrel that's hidden inside the slide. And the action parts are very similar to what they were on the single action one. Now, you have your hammer, you got your trigger, the slide itself, you got slide release, got a decocker, magazine release, and a magazine itself. Now, this gun, it has some issues. Remember how when we looked at the revolver, we had the opportunity for the gun to cheat you, or you to cheat yourself with the gun by practicing with it in a way that you weren't going to actually use it in real life. Okay. Double action semi-auto. All right. When we load this gun, you would put a magazine in it, you would work the slide, and that would chamber it like we did with the semi-auto. And then it's got a decock lever on it. Okay. So that decock lets the hammer go down. And it does that safely. If a gun has a decocker on it, use the decocker. Don't try to do the old school thumbing down the hammer kind of thing. One, that's dangerous. You don't want to try to do that. If the gun has a decocker, use the decocker. You would load the gun, magazine in, work the slide, hit the decock, gun's ready to go. If you really want to, take the magazine out, top it out, have a full magazine, one round into the chamber. Great. Now, we are going through life carrying this gun. If we need this gun, we come out of the holster. What action type is that first round going to be? First shot out of the gun, double action, right? Then the slide's going to work as it functions, and every shot after that is single action, okay? Just dropping the hammer, just dropping the hammer, just dropping the hammer, okay? First one out of the magazine when it comes out of the holster, double action, slide's working, single, 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 okay? What does all that mean to me? If this is my gun, okay, when I go to the range to practice with it, I know I need to practice with it like I'm going to use it for real. So I need to get some good practice. Hopefully I'm shooting on a range where I can come out of the holster. If not, you're going to have to modify this. But you do want to practice your double action shooting. So double action, decock, double action, decock, double action, double action, double action, until you can put good double action shots on the target. It would be best if you can come out of the holster, present to the target, double action, decock, reholster. Come out, double action, decock, reholster. And do that until you can come out of the holster and put a good double action shot on the target, decock, reholster. Once you've got that down, then you know this gun automatically transitions over to single action. So it starts out double, it's going to go to single. So now you need to practice coming out of the holster, double action, single action, decock, reholster. Double action, single action, decock, reholster. And do that until you can come out of the holster and you can put good shots on the target that way. If you don't do that, if you don't practice that way, what you're going to do is you're going to wind up taking this gun to the range. You're going to take your 50 round box of ammo with you. You're going to load up 2 or 3 magazines, whatever. You're going to put the magazine in the gun. You're going to work the slide. If you remember to decock it, that's kind of amazing because a lot of people don't. They'll just load the gun up, chamber it, and then they'll start putting bullets on the target. Boom, 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 boom. all of that single action. Reload the gun, boom, 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 reload, boom, boom. And they've shot 50 rounds, all single action. When I come out of the holster, what's the first shot in this gun? It's double action. That's going to be pretty important to be able to put a good double action shot on target. Okay, so if this is your gun, nothing wrong with it. Practice with it. All right. Advantages of it nowadays, they're cheap. Okay, you can get good quality double action semi-auto handguns for $300. Okay, $400 for sure. All right. A gun that is of quality in the $700 range, you can get for $300 to $400 range if you buy it used. The reason being, they've been making this type of gun for military and law enforcement now since not long after World War II, honestly. Okay, so there's been double action semi-autos like that since about that time period. So there's millions of them out there. You can get on websites like Gunbroker and stuff, and you can find used guns for not a whole lot of money. And they're not really usually beat to death, but they'll have a lot of holster wear on them because they've been turned in from some police department. Excellent value for what you're getting. But you got to practice with them. If you're going to get a double action or a double action, traditional double action, you got to practice with it. So it's going to cost you some. You're going to save some money on buying a gun, but you need to spend some time on the range and spend some money on ammo. Nothing wrong with doing that anyway. If you're going to carry the gun, you should be doing that anyway. Or you can get a gun that's a double action only, which just like the revolver in the previous episode, if it's double action only, it doesn't have the capacity of being shot single action, so you can't cheat yourself with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just up to you which one you're wanting to put the money in and that kind of stuff. I actually kind of prefer, there's another kind of semi-auto that is, I'm going to say new, but it's not super new. It's called the striker fired gun. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. This one's unloaded. So, nothing in the magazine. Well, nothing in the chamber, so we know that gun's unloaded. I'll explain that tag in just a minute. Striker fired guns work a little bit differently than traditional guns like we've been looking at, the hammer fired guns. Okay, the hammer fired guns we've been looking at up to this point, the way they function is they have a firing pin that kind of floats in this area right here. When we load the gun, the cartridge is going to be right here, and the firing pin is back in here. And so when we pull the trigger, the hammer would slap forward, hit the firing pin, which would go in and hit the primer and cause the gun to fire. Striker fired guns don't work that way. The way striker fired guns work is they have a device in there. They call it the striker. It's basically the firing pin, but it kind of works like a ballpoint pen. All right, you've got a spring on there, and the striker is compressed back against the spring, and so when you pull the trigger, it basically releases that spring pressure, and the spring pressure throws the firing pin striker into the primer and causes the gun to work that way. So there's no hammer at all on the gun. Okay, it's all controlled with springs on the inside. The one thing I like about striker fired guns is the trigger is the same every time. Okay, just like a double action only would be. Close. We won't get deep into there's a little bit of weirdness about that, but generally speaking, the trigger is the same every time on a double action or a striker fired gun, just like it would be on a double action only gun. Now I will show you what I was talking about with that tag. I don't know if you guys can see that. Cover Your Six in Johnson City. It's a gun store here in Johnson City. This is an example of what you can do with a used gun. All right. Now I showed you on the double action semi-auto how you can. There's a blue million of them out in the world, and every police department in the world's had them, so you can get them for little to nothing. Now it's starting to be the same thing with these semi-auto guns, because once again, every police department in the United States since the mid '80s has had the semi-autos, the striker fired semi-autos, or they've been getting them in that time period. Now just about everybody has them, and because of that, you can buy these semi-auto striker fired guns for little to nothing. This is a Smith & Wesson, good quality gun. I think I paid like $250 for it. Now, not like this. When I got it, it was ugly. Nothing wrong with an ugly gun. Actually, there's some benefit to it. If you get an ugly gun, it's already scratched up and stuff, and you're not going to be afraid to put more scratches and wear on it. it's kind of a trap when you go buy a brand new gun, because you get a brand new gun, you get a brand new gun price tag, you pay $600, $700, $800, $900 for a semi-auto handgun, and then you don't want to scratch it. Okay, and if you don't want to scratch it, you're not going to use it. If you don't use it, you're not going to be any good with it, and if you're not any good with it, if you ever need it, you're not going to have confidence in yourself or the gun, and your skills are going to be lacking. Okay, you buy yourself a used gun, that's not likely to happen because the gun's already scratched. Okay, so you don't care to go out and put some more bullets through it because it's already had a bunch of bullets through it anyway. Another cool thing about it is you can take it to someplace like Cover Your Six here in Johnson City, and they can do all kinds of cool stuff to it. This one, he's cut keyholes. This is not normal this way. Okay, he cut keyholes in the slide just so you can see the barrel on there. Did some different coloration to it. Kind of camoed it up a little bit, and some stippling on the grip and stuff. So he did quite a bit of work to this, and you can personalize it any way you want. I mean, if you wanted it pink cheetah print, he could do that for you too. And so it's pretty cool. You can buy a gun and not spend a whole lot of money on it. You can put a whole lot of money into the customizing though. I think that's about $600 worth of stuff done on this one afterwards. So it's like 2 or 3 times the amount of money spent on the gun into customizing. Easy to do, but you can make the gun yours that way. All right, so it's your baby at that point. But like with the striker fired gun, you just put a magazine in, work the slide, and the gun's ready to go. Okay, you don't have to decock, and a lot of them don't have. It weirds people out because they don't have an external safety. They will have a trigger safety. You'll see how this trigger operates kind of funny. A lot of the striker fired guns, the trigger operates kind of funny, and that's part of what makes the gun safe. Okay, if the trigger is not pulled in the correct way, it won't fire. Okay, and it's a safety feature, and it has proven itself to be quite reliable. People get kind of weirded out about it because it doesn't have an external safety. I don't care for external safeties. You are the safety of the gun. We know that. Muzzle in a safe direction. Keep your finger off the trigger, and pay attention to what you're doing with it. Load it only when you need it to be loaded. And you don't have to worry about it not having an external safety. You are the safety for the gun. The mechanical devices in here, they don't make the gun safe. They're supposed to make it safer, but unfortunately what happens is people, they flip that switch on and then they turn their brain off. Can't do that. Okay, you have got to pay attention to the all the gun safety stuff. Okay, so you are the safety of the gun. It's not that. All right, one other thing I'll tell you guys about while we're talking about the handguns is size and some concealed carry selection factors. Now, we got a couple of ends of the spectrum here. I've showed you the semi-auto single action. I've demonstrated that one was unloaded. I'm going to show you this one, show you that it's unloaded as well. So nothing in the mag well on this one. Nothing in the chamber. Oh, sorry. There's a magazine in that one. So now you can see there's nothing in the mag well. Nothing in the chamber on that one. So this is kind of the two ends of the spectrum. All right, on handguns. Actually, you can get some a little bigger than this and a little smaller than that. What we're looking at here is big heavy, little light. All right, big heavy gun is really nice when you're on the range shooting, not so much when you're carrying it around every day. Little teeny gun, really nice when you're carrying it around every day, not so nice when you're on the range shooting it. So what does all this mean to me? You've got to figure out somewhere between these two that is going to satisfy your needs for a defensive pistol. You don't necessarily need to carry a big old heavy gun like this, or what's more like practicality, you're not as likely to have this gun with you if you need it because it's cumbersome. Okay, this one you're probably going to have it with you because it vanishes in your pocket. It's super, super light, but you're not going to have the confidence behind this one because you're not going to shoot it enough to get any kind of confidence because it's actually quite painful to shoot. Comfortable, you can get comfortable and you can get competent with it. Probably not going to have it with you because it's cumbersome. You'll have it with you, but you're not going to have the confidence in it. So what does that mean to us? We need to find something else. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're probably going to find yourself in something that is more akin to this. Okay, and magazine, no magazine. clear chamber. Okay, now this is a Glock, but there's blue million different guns in this kind of size out there. Okay, and so you're probably going to find yourself in something between the big heavy gun and the little bitty gun. Power's not going to be as good. It'll be better than that one. It's not going to be as heavy, but it'll be heavier than this one. But everybody's got their own tolerance, and you've got to figure out where your tolerance is. You need to put your hands on some guns. Gun shows are a good place to do that. You can go around, you can touch all kinds of guns, and your hand will tell you yes, no, or maybe immediately. You'll pick a gun up, put it in your hand, in the shooting grip, which we'll talk about in another lesson. Put the gun in your shooting hand and a shooting grip. Your hand will say yes, no, or maybe immediately. You'll put the gun in there, and your hand will love it, your hand will hate it, or your hand will be like, man, yeah, well, I don't know, we'll see. Your pocketbook will do the same thing. Okay, you look at the price tag, and then it'll also tell you yes, no, or maybe really quick. Pick you out 6 to a dozen guns that your hand loves, your pocketbook can stand, and then try to borrow them, beg them, or rent them, and shoot them before you actually buy. That if you want to do this right, that's the way to do it. Go to a gun range, go to a buddy's house that's got some property. Try to shoot as many of them as you can, because you may absolutely love it, and when you shoot it, you just hate it. And there's no way for you to know that till you've done it. So I recommend you do that. Try to find yourself someplace where you can rent the guns. For us locally, we've got a place in Kingsport called the Gun Rack, and there's another one in Hampton called Barnett's. Both of those rent guns. The one in Kingsport at Barnett's, she'll rent you all the guns in a given caliber for one gun rental fee. Fantastic deal. You go in there and you pay for an hour on the range, and then you pay to rent a gun, but she'll let you keep switching that gun out for all the guns she's got in the counter that are in that caliber. So if you're wanting a 9mm, which is common, you just go in there and you shoot all over 9mm, and then that'll tell you what your hand likes and what you're good with. And it's not always about the best gun; it's what you're best with. Okay. So that's some things to think about. If you got any questions, of course, email me, and we will talk more about it at a future date. Thanks. Bye.